Okay, so this is the very last video in Algebra 3. Congratulations, you have made it to the end. This should be video 29. And this is Chapter 6, Section 6. And this is all about inverse functions. And we're going to keep this pretty short and sweet. I could, go on and on and on, but I'm going to give you kind of a quick little how-to. I'm going to give you 2 examples, and then there are 6 varsity problems. And so this is pretty much just, can you do some algebra? So with an inverse function, you are going to find an inverse function algebraically. And when you start these, you're going to be looking at something that's going to say something like this. Given f of x equals 3x cubed minus 5, find its inverse, or the way that that's going to look is f to the minus 1 of x. And what this means is the inverse of the function. Okay, so you're going to be finding the inverse. So here are the steps to do that. The first thing you are going to do is replace f of x with y. Okay, so I'm going to do that here. We're going to replace f of x with y. So this is now going to look like y equals 3x cubed minus 5. And now step 2, you are going to interchange the x and y variables. And so that means I'm going to take this one, and they're going to change places in the equation. So this is going to look like x equals 3y cubed minus 5. And now my next step, I'll use this color, scroll down a little bit. Number 3, you're going to solve for y. Remember, that means get the y by itself. And so that means move anything away from this. And then if you have a power on it, you're going to, in this case, uncube it. If you had a root on it, you would raise it to the opposite power. If it's in a denominator, you're going to multiply by it. So you're going to have to use the skills that you know in math to do these things. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to anchor this guy here, keep him here, and move everything away from it. So we're going to add a 5 to both sides of the equation. So now we're going to have x plus 5 equals 3y cubed. Now I need to get rid of this 3 over here, right? We got to get the y by itself before we can undo anything. So I'm going to divide by 3. So now I have x plus 5 over 3 equals y cubed. And now, in order to get literally the y by itself, I need to solve for y. Not y cubed, solve for y. You're going to remember to undo an exponent. You will raise this to, not raise it to, you will root it to that index. Okay, so I'm going to take the cube root, and that will cancel out all of those. So now I have y equals the cube root of this whole fraction. Okay, and you were solving step 3, solve for y. So once that happens, you kind of achieved what you want. So step 4, once y is by itself, replace the y with f to the minus 1 of x. So I'm going to take this guy and replace it. Cube root of x plus 5 over 3. And this is your answer. Okay, that step 4 is the inverse of that whole thing. Now, in my pre-calc class, there's a way that you can actually go back and verify algebraically that f of x and the inverse are indeed inverses of each other. I'm not going to ask you to do that. Varsity is not going to ask you to do that. So this is all I need you to do is go through these 4 steps and actually do that. I need to do one more example so that you have it, because you're going to need to follow these steps when you see one like it in varsity. Okay, so next one. This is example 2. Given f of x equals x plus 2 over x minus 4, find f to the minus 1 of x. Okay, so step 1 is replace this guy with a y. Step 2, interchange the x and y's. Well, now I have a y, but I have 2 x's. So I'm going to have the y is going to become an x. The x's are going to become y's. All right, and now you got to do a little bit of creative math. So what we're going to do here, we want to get the y by itself, right? We want to get y by itself. But you have 2 of them. So here's what we're going to do. We got to get rid of this fraction. So what we're going to do is multiply both sides by y minus 4 and y minus 4. Well, what's going to happen on this right-hand side is those are going to cancel each other out. And on the left-hand side, we're actually going to distribute. So we're going to get xy minus 4x equals y plus 2. Okay. Now I want to get the y terms on the same side. Okay, so I'll keep this guy here and move this guy over. That means I'm going to add a 4x and add a 4x over here and move this y over, so it's going to become negative. So I'm going to have xy minus a y is equal to 4x plus 2. Okay, this 4x is disappearing over here and moving over here and being positive. The 2's not moving. This y is moving over here and subtracting off of both sides. Okay, now on this side, I can factor a y out of the left-hand side. So I'm going to factor a y out of here as the GCF. And that leaves me with x minus 1. And that's equal to 4x plus 2. And then to get y by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by x minus 1, which would cancel that quantity, leaving me y all by itself on this side and leaving me this fraction over here. Now I have y by itself. Now I'm ready for the very last step, which, if you recall, was replace y with f to the minus 1 of x, and that's equal to 4x plus 2 over x minus 1. So you will need these exact steps when you walk through a couple of those problems. So you're going to go do varsity 6.6. There's only 6 problems. And it's the very last, aside from a chapter test and our chapter review and chapter test. Then we have an exam review and an exam. And that's it. We're all done. You made it. Toodaloo. Congratulations. Where am I going?